Yeah, getting us through.
How bad is it?
No, I can't. They're up in Concordia now for some reason.
Man,
Yes. Did you notice that truck is parked down there?
Okay.
It's still on the ground.
Must be,
Is that a drone?
I guess. I don't know if I want to be a drone
Yeah.
around there.
No. Jeez. Is it in on that rain?
I think so. They said it was got green all around it.
Jeez.
But Bonner.
mm,
Another reason not to go to Bonner Springs.
didn't lose anything there.
Yeah.
I got this today.
Yeah.
Didn't give us a cancel, did you?
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Change.
Oh,
Tim and Brad are both winners. 7 o'clock, guys. What? Shoot.
Let you do the pledge.
Well, I'll wait until they get here. Whose locus is that?
White Falls.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they own. I just caught that at the very end. So I didn't have time to call County.
I'll sort it out later.
You don't call the county. Oh, you mean
To see who owns it.
Okay,
To see who owns it.
yeah. All right, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call this meeting to order. It's May 28th at 7:01. Jen?
Here.
Brett?
Here.
Justin? And Brett.
Here.
I'll move to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
I just want to add that I have a few comments on some of the things you guys asked me to do last week. I'll keep them down in mayor's comments, but it's, about calling different people and that kind of thing. Okay. We have a motion
You made
A second.
one.
Oh, no.
What?
You have a motion in a second.
All in favor? Yes.
And I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes. All in favor? Tim, are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining because I haven't read them yet.
Okay. Please review the approval of the additions and appropriation orders.
I'll move to approve appropriation ordinance 1462.
I'll second it.
We have a second on the appropriation ordinance. Tim,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
and Brett.
Yes.
Do you have any public concerns or comments at this time? Might have reduced our audience because of the weather. Do we know?
I think we're gonna have to bypass Jan until she gets here.
Yes, I was gonna suggest that.
I was trying to send her a message to see if she's still planning on coming. She told me earlier today weather wouldn't stop her from being here.
Okay, well, we'll just, get her other business out of the way. And whenever she gets here, we'll, see her. Mr. Bone?
All right. We issued a public notice. It was just posted here in City Hall, was what we're required to do for the permitting of the backwash lagoons at the water plant. That was brought up at our last sanitary survey a year ago in June, actually. And we got the ball rolling on that. Finally got a preliminary draft of that wastewater permit. All comments were due by May 20. I will update that to KDHE and see how that process will move forward. They are discharging lagoons, so we will be required to have them sampled like we do our actual sewage lagoons here in town. I don't think they'll be testing for everything, but suspended solids, which would be like dirt and stuff like that that comes out of the filters, and probably pH at the minimum. So there will be some additional lab costs incurred with that for water treatment now, not just wastewater. We have had 2 more wastewater bypasses from the lift station and 1 manhole since the last time I updated you guys. I had ordered a new pump from Enviroline, submersible 10 horsepower Meyer submersible for the lift station. That has since been installed, and we have had 1 bypass since that pump was installed and 2 pumps running lead and lag. Clocked the hours when we put the new one in. The new pump is pumping approximately 35% more than the older pump. So that older pump, which is rebuilt, is showing some wear. The plan is in our sewer project that will all be redone too. I didn't want to have to put a brand new pump in there, but both of those other pumps have been rebuilt twice and they're not lasting very long at all. So with the bypasses and everything, we just went ahead and put a new one in there. But NPO completed the gas line cut around for the West Star substation. There's some topsoil repair to do and weather permits and maybe some more seeding. We did get things seeded, but we'll see how it goes. As far as that, fencing was put back. I mean, the fencing was horrible on each end. We still got some temporary fencing up on one end to get some seeding done in the brome field to the east, and then the fencing to the west. I assume West Star is probably going to have to do something with that when they increase the size of their fence and things like that. So, but it all worked. Everything pressure tested. The cutover went good. All the welding went good. So great job. The bore project for the gas line at the new Lake Bridge. NPL inquired about when they were going to be done. I don't know. I think it's open. I think they got the pavement down and stuff over there, but I really asked them if we can work it out with both of our schedules to wait for some better weather before we try to dig up along the road and bore that, just to minimize any damage and muck and stuff like that. Better weather would go better for the drill rig, I assume. Try to get that done for as cheap as possible. OQ, gas OQ. I got an email. It's been several months ago. We've been working for quite a while. The city of Osage, Joey Lamone over there, city Alma, Michael. They've been kind of spearheading the deal, and then all of our towns in the OQ group have been working on our operator qualifications that we use. We do our own training in-house. The states love that for a long time since it was developed when we first had to start OQing people. It has reached a point, KMU, Kansas Municipal Utilities, KMGA, they've all been involved. They wanted a OQ program that could be rolled out and offered to all the municipalities in the entire state to do training and adopt this plan and do their in-house training and form their own regional groups across the state. That has been approved by the KCC. So we will have a new OQ plan to adopt for all of our cities in the Flint Hills group, and then our plan is going statewide. So I mean, you can look back 20 years for all the operators that everybody's had in our group of our 8-9 towns, and they developed this to start with, and the KCC loved it, pipeline safety, and I mean, it's going statewide. So I mean, the training's definitely above par and does a good job. Now there will be some new testing options online, but our group will still meet for hands-on qualifications, procedure qualifications, stuff like that, hopefully at least once a year. We're going to meet June 25th in Osage to go over all that, and I'll be bringing you guys something probably so we can adopt it and make that our own, because it'll probably be tweaked just a little bit different until we adopt it, and then we'll all get qualified on it immediately. And getting some things squared away. One thing we talked about was the community support section of the application through the community needs projects. I mean, the needs are addressed as why do we need it? What were the alternatives to any replacement in an aging system or an outdated system? But community support, if you remember, some of the things that were on there prior, a lot of things we talked about today, like in 2018, we chip sealed all the streets. It just shows that the city is doing things, and not just the city, but organizations within the city. So I'll just give you, I mean, it's a little lengthy, but what we went over, think about this type of thing. If I'm missing something, say something, we'll jot it down and make sure she has it on there. But like 2018, we chip and sealed all city streets. 2018, we CCTV'd, cleaned and inspected the entire sewer collection system for the project. That's now complete. The ongoing clean and inspection of the sewer collection system, third every year, that's ongoing annually. 2017, leased to purchase a new utility truck and a skid loader. 2018, we purchased 2 new lawnmowers for grounds maintenance. We have an ongoing gas meter replacement program. We upgraded the motor controls on the raw water and high service pumps to VFDs in 2008, or no, that was probably 17, I believe. 2018 and 19, we pulled, cleaned, and inspected the raw water pumps throughout our drought and our problems we had last year, and what we did most recently with Alexander's out there. 2018, we contracted divers to remove zebra mussel buildup on raw water intake structure. 2018, we constructed and used a temporary floating raw water intake structure due to extreme drought conditions. 2018, cleaned and inspected water towers. 2018 and 19, in process of retrofitting the chemical feed system to prevent the zebra mussel buildup on the raw water structure. 2019, approved construction of 5 new shelters at the Lake Wabansie Park. And then like other just community things, 2019 upgrades to the city park by the Park Association, 2019 upgrades by the Pool Association, including new tile and paint. Those kind of things just show reinvestment, not only by the city body, but, you know, organizations and people in the city, which shows community support. And that will significantly boost our number, I think, with that narrative being rewritten. And we should have time. She's getting everything squared away. We can
You
review
should
that.
add the state byway stone fence on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Good one.
absolutely.
Do you have the reg station that we're, the gas from, I forget when it was, several years ago, right around the time?
I will ask about that. They like around a 3-year period, I think, but still, no, that's good. Stone fence, rig station
Because they've done 2, not, I'd include the one at the lake.
with the
too.
lakes. Yep, rig station, byway, stone fence. Ask and to a lake entrance.
And the kiosk.
I was gonna say they're not up yet, but we're gonna replace the shelter houses out there.
I've got that on there,
Yeah.
cause and we told her that, I mean, it's been allotted, it's been approved, the money's allotted to replace 5 new shelter houses at the lake park. This will go in September with the application, and I do have a couple other things to talk about prior to that. We're kind of going through a
Does
bunch of
maintenance
stuff.
to the beach and stuff like that count too?
I think very possible.
Yeah.
And fire pits, did you say fire pits that we purchased? Because we did that not that long ago.
It
didn't
was
we?
over 3 years ago.
Grass carp.
Campsite upgrades.
Oh, yeah.
On the stocking of the fish, that's, yeah.
Well, grass
The
carp
survey.
was for
The
vegetation
survey.
control. What's that?
The survey that we did,
Yeah.
that was another costly endeavor that.
5,000 or 6,000, wasn't it?
Like 9.
Could we include dilapidated houses that we tore down?
I thought about that earlier. I was
Taking-
going to ask
well,
her about that.
that's
but,
blighted
I mean, It was
areas.
a blighted property that was
Cleaning up our
and I did.
community.
No, and I
I
did.
like
I've
that
got that
concept.
down on my desk because I thought about that when I was trying to remember the stuff that we talked about today to put in my report for you. But
Even
And
if,
that's an ongoing.
How long ago
process.
did we replace the curbs in front of the post office?
Was it
Last year,
2
2
years
years
ago?
ago.
2 years
2 years
ago.
ago?
I was like, it was right at the beginning, I think, of when I
is it
just
after
started.
Tammy fell?
Okay.
Not 2 years, but a year and a half.
Gosh,
actually.
Like a
Doesn't
year
seem
and
like
a
you've been here
half.
2 years already.
Well,
Yeah.
Not quite yet, but
We'll see how she wants to. That's good though. Yeah. And if, I mean, email us, call us, do something.
Yeah.
If you just pop up anything else, that stuff does help. We don't want it to become an obnoxious narrative, of course, in my feelings, but yeah, all of that stuff. And like I said, I mean, she wasn't concerned with the city not paying for it, but, no, I mean, like what the Park Association does, what the Pool Association does. I mean, it just shows that there are people and organizations investing in our community. So, I mean, I don't think they want to throw money at a dead horse type of thing. That's where that community needs points comes from, is how I understand it. So, I think that's really good. A lot of the other stuff looked good. I'll go ahead and jump up to this. For Kramer's Engineering, doing the design plans and specifications authorization form, basically. Do you have that? I have a copy of it here. We are under their original lump agreement to engineer, inspect, to do this whole project. Basically what Stephanie has here, which will be an official copy, is basically authorization to proceed with project design. I would recommend we go ahead and make a motion to do this. The benefit of beginning the design now will improve our CDBG score for the project readiness section and our points for the project readiness. Our points will go up for project readiness because at submission this year, we do have all the CCTV work done. That's all completed. That wasn't completed last year when the application was due. That was done in October. So that will help too. Project readiness does help get a grant. I mean, the more you're ready. In doing this and asking for a motion, I propose that the services that we are billed for between now and any funding obtained, keep in mind that we are approved by KDHE. We could start making a draw tomorrow if we wanted to use it to pay a bill for this project. Between now and any funding obtained be paid out of our wastewater fund. We have 120, almost 123,000 sitting in there right now. This would begin, okay, yeah. Other options is to go ahead and make a draw on the KDHE interim funding, but that would begin the accrual of interest, which I don't think is necessary at this point. Once CDBG is hopefully awarded this time, of course, we would begin making the draws on the KDHE funding as the project starts, this and that. Once that happens, and we do have to start drawing on that to pay for, contractor expenses, stuff like that, the bids. We can ask for not only that money to make the draw, but we can ask for that money that we spent on the engineering to be refunded to us out of that interim funding to be put back in our O&M, basically in our wastewater fund for operations and maintenance. So we'd be out of it, we'd be floating it. That way just our interest would be kept non-existent as long as we could. That would be my recommendation and go that direction for it. The other items that are in our project readiness, that were in there last year. The city does own all the property involved in the project. All the lining, everything is occurring in existing lines. We're not putting any extensions, anything. If we don't own the property, we already have easements on the property. One that will boost us this year. We do have at least one letter with a preliminary agreement for the biosolids disposal for desludging the lagoons. That is in place. That will be another point tick for project readiness. And of course, like I said, the CCTV has been completed. So I don't see any reason, or I guess I don't see any reason to not begin designing the project. We're going to be behind a bit where we're going to CDBG again. I don't think we should delay it. If for some reason we weren't awarded, kind of the way we talked was we were go to USDA again for funding and hope they would up grant money some more. But I mean, I don't think we're just not going to do the project at this point. It's whatever you guys feel. But I talked to Josh today. He's totally fine with that. They love to go ahead and get to work on it and actual designs and getting everything hammered out on what needs to be done where with the information from the CCTV work, and start putting something together to let for bids as far as design and what they want done, of course, from approval from you guys. But thoughts, what do you think on any of that?
Pretty well laid out plan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact number. I don't have a copy of their agreement. That's in another file somewhere. Josh is supposed to be getting it to me. That was all laid out. It was all set in stone on their original agreement, but I don't have that in front of me. It'll take a while. I mean, it's not all good.
I think it's a great idea. Eskridge has done a real good job about trying to keep and update their infrastructures since I've been here 40 years. And lines in like some communities do. The last thing we have to do is our sewer lines and things. And once we take care of that, then everybody, it just feels like we'll be set to go and continue to be the bedroom community that we have become. But I think we're more than that now, because we're starting to see new families come into this community, and I would like to have a system that would support that bit of growth that we're going to have. So I'm excited about this. So it'll be a mess, but it'll be a great mess. It'll be a great mess. Well, yes. When they dig up the yards and stuff, people can go get the worms and go fishing until we're done. I'm kind of upbeat on things like this. I like progress. Anybody else?
We've got a
This means
authorization act on them, so I moved to authorize Dolly to sign the paper.
I'll second.
okay. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor? It is unanimous.
Design.
Yes.
And that's what they're
That's not there.
design. What is it called?
Preliminary design.
Design plans and specifications.
Would you like a copy?
That was my copy.
That was-
Yeah, she'll need a copy to put
Yeah,
on the
you can
project.
sign that
You'll
one,
sign
live
the
with it.
official, and then she'll need a copy.
No.
And the only other thing I had, and this, we don't need action on this tonight, but we do need action on this prior to submittal. Maybe we talk about this just a little bit, we look at it, and maybe by the next meeting, we might have a resolution to go if Todd says resolution is the best way, is our sewer rate again. We had done the 3-year resolution, which was enacted, looks like December 8th, 2014, beginning January 1 of 2015, to increase our minimum charge for sewer over a 3-year period up to the state minimum average of $26.25. And that's where we're at now. The state average is now $28. We do not qualify for funding unless we are at the state minimum. Now we are $26.25 for 15,000 gallons of metered water. That is extremely high. One thing that USDA really encouraged us, and I think I may have touched on this a meeting or 2 or 3 ago, was adjusting that a little bit. It looks a lot better to them that commercial customers, higher users, there is some sort of graduation to where they are picking up more of the slack on the higher use end rather than it being across the board and the residential customers having to pick up that slack, because they ultimately want to keep the residential customers rate as low as possible to be sustainable. Give you guys a copy of these. There's an extra one. I take one back. This is something that Josh did. You may have seen this. He kind of put this together. This was as of October 1 of 17. It's got some cities on there. Yeah, Opie is in a bad spot, if you ask me. I do not know what they're thinking there.
Same what they were thinking about 20 years ago here. We were paying $2.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. And I have tossed this around and I don't know. I mean,
It's all downhill there.
Rosemary said that's official at times. It's not an absolute necessity, I don't think.
Mike, I think what you might want to do is review what we get for that surcharge. It's not just the fact that, I mean, we get maintenance, we get an inspection every so often, and that maintenance fee, I wonder if some of our residents realize what that money is for.
Well, this money, now keep in mind, this is going to change again once our project is completed, once USDA issues the final funding for the project, if they kick in any grant money, if we get the CDBG, that will all determine the final rate. I don't know exactly how that works, but basically the user rate will be defined for debt service on what we owe, and then our surcharges on top of that will be for O&M, which will determine our final rate, which like with grant funding, Kramer's at one point had a $22.50 base charge for the first 1,000 gallons plus $8.75 for every additional 1,000 gallons with grant funding. That is with the grant money. Without grant funding, they were assuming a $46 for the first 1,000 gallons plus $6.50 an additional 1,000, which that would be a $72 a month user charge. That's why we really hope for grant funding. The other one would end up at around $37 total to sustain our O&M plus our debt service. So this will have to change once we're done. I mean, we will be required to do that. But in the meantime, just for it to look better to USDA, one thing I just put down, a lot of these do go way lower than 15,000, obviously, down like Hayes, which they're at 20,500 population, that 1463 for the first 748 gallons. Josh and I talked, we think that's probably 748 cubic feet. We think they're billing in cubic feet of water rather than gallons, possibly. That's a really odd number.
A city that large probably has a combined water
Right.
sewer system, which means that they slough the money off on water, and that keeps the sewers over.
Right. I thought was pretty creative. How did that work? And
Also, to note, that jumping ahead of you, but Scranton is a leading indicator for you guys. They had a sewer project. That was the result.
And that's why their rates right there.
Yeah, and they were higher than you guys were to start with, and that the debt service on that drove them up to that $42. So I don't think I've ever heard of anybody just having the minimum cover 15,000 gallons.
No, it's very, very abnormal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that didn't get changed. We had to get to the 2625. I mean, we talked about that in 14 before we ever, I brought it up. I think that, we're going to have to do something sooner and later. Let's get up to that state minimum. You guys did it. The resolution worked good. We didn't have a lot of bad feedback about it. Doing it gradually, which was a very, very good thing to do. And it has generated revenue for us that we do have there now to do things like, let's go ahead and start engineering and not have to pull interim funding and pay interest on it when we really don't have to. So it's worked out really good, I think, on that end of the deal. One I thought was pretty creative was like Oskaloosa, 38 for the first 6,000, plus $4 per 1,000 from 7 to 10,000, and then plus $6 per thousand over 10,000. Rosemary talked about some things like that. I mean, some just graduation, because you kind of get your residential customers covered, then kind of your commercial customers covered, and then your industrial customers covered. So, I think when they did it, the city's average water use was about 4,500 gallons for residential, which may be a little on the high end, depending on, how many families are in town, that type of thing, the larger families. So you figure under the 5,000, that would cover your residential customers. And then, a restaurant, something like that's probably going to be in between on your commercial side. And then like the nursing home would be more on an industrial side with the laundry and the whole facility and everything. I mean, they're in the 100 and some thousand gallons a month realm. Like I was just jotting things down, was say like 28 and a quarter for the first 5,000, $1.25 a thousand from 6 to 25, and then $2 a thousand from 26 up. That's probably a little on the low end from what we will end up at, or what we'll need to do in the end. And then maybe throw in a 3% increase on the base rate of 28.25 if we did a resolution for say 5 years. Now the project's not going to take 5 years, and it'll probably be null and void prior to that, but that 3% shows we're accounting for inflation. I mean, you can average probably about 3% a year, plus or minus, right, for inflation.
That's high there, but that's fine. I mean, not much.
Yeah.
1 to 2.
Okay.
Do we need to make a motion on any of that right now?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, would a resolution be the best way to do that?
Yeah, I think so.
Rather than an ordinance?
Yeah, just like, I think you do. I think resolution's fine in this context, same as you did last time. And you just need somebody needs to come up with kind of a schedule, the way you do it. When do you measure how do you measure their billing?
Through their water use
All year long or just the winter months?
all year long.
Okay, so it's all right. That's fine.
As far as, it's month to month on what they use, summer to winter.
Yeah, and I guess some places measure during the winter, so that's not really necessary in this instance.
Yeah. We don't want to get too complicated. I don't want too many graduations, because we'll have to get this set up in the billing, and that'll be a little bit of a process. But yeah, I don't think we want to start the law of averages or something like that at this point.
Well, they do that to get summer watering out of this. And
Right.
because the water you're using for that isn't going into the system.
Mhm.
Did I miss something? What's the significance of 748 gallons?
I have no idea. We think that's cubic feet rather than gallons,
So it'd be the equivalent of 1,000 gallons.
something like that. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
It's all different in Hayes.
Yeah.
Well, Newton as
Well,
well.
Newton, 2,244, and they may have done a project, and that was something that got dealt down by the powers that be that offered the funding. And said,
I don't know if there was a different meter that measured it different.
yeah, a sewer meter? No.
It's based off water usage, so.
Mhm. No, and I get
that's the
that
main
as far as
reference.
watering and stuff like that, but, $1.25 per thousand on wastewater too. It's not horrible. I don't think we're hitting people too hard. I don't want to hit people too hard. We just have to remain.
The one thing that was really sticking out to me is all the additional usages are roughly 1,000 gallons, but the one that you put up here is for Eskridge is additional 5,000 gallons.
That's what we're currently at. We are currently at 26.25 for the first 15,000, and then $6 for every 5,000. That's kind of where I came up with my $1.25 per thousand, because a fifth for 5,000 of 6 is $1.20. So I just kind of broke that down for every 1,000 gallons rather than having to hit that 5,000 mark before you get charged. That next $6, it kind of graduates just to collect that in between.
What was base on this scenario where you got the 28 and a quarter?
5,000. I went from 15 to 5, and then from 5 to 1. And that's just kind of brainstorming, kind of finding a common ground, improving on what we did. I think this might not be what they want in the end. Once we know what the project cost, how much we had to borrow, our final fundings issued to us, they'll probably dictate kind of how they want to do that, because even USDA ultimately wants to keep the residential users rate as low as possible. but yet we have to maintain our debt service.
But they will do the minimums.
Yeah,
Usually
but
they
this,
do it.
I think this would look a lot better to them than that 15,000. Because like I said, when we were at the water conference, KRWA, I mean, Dan Fisher and Austin Masters were like, yeah, that 15,000 thing, that's weird. Like really weird.
Yeah, does look
So
weird,
we're
yeah,
very unique
Compared
on
to-
that.
everybody else.
That's a lot of water for a base rate. But, and a lot goes into it. I mean, you think it just runs down a pipe and ends, but as we can see now, I mean, there's a lot that has to happen. The system has to be maintained, and a lot happens on the back end to treat that water, so it's actually legal to release, and we're not just doing a bypass and releasing sewage into a stream. So
The dividing line really is the monthly minimum is supposed to be your debt service, your capital cost.
Yep.
And that per thousand is supposed to be, like you said, the day-to-day on
your
stuff.
O&M and stuff.
Like we St. Mary's did it.
FYI, 748 cubic feet is really near 6,000 gallons, so that's probably what they're doing.
Gotcha.
So Newton's kind of crazy because they might be up there with us, 2244, if that's in cubic feet. That's probably, it might be close to where we're at.
Oh yeah, and they're on 748. Yeah, very possible.
16,786. I don't know.
They're significantly higher too on their base rate at this point. I mean, not if we went to the 28 a quarter, but for 19,000 people, they're generating a lot more revenue than we are up to 505.
Yeah,
They're also,
Yeah.
they also got more inflow and infiltration that you guys got in your worst day.
Really.
Oh, yeah. Sure they do. I mean, you're just talking about the area,
Mm.
number of ways that you can infiltrate, it's just too much. So they're probably, they're earning that.
Well, what do you guys think? You want to try to write something up? You want to jump on something and at least get the ball rolling in the right direction now on our minimums and getting us up to or on our minimum gallon wise and getting us up to the state minimum or the state average of 28 even?
28 or 25?
I just threw an extra quarter in there, so we were just a tick above it.
don't look like we're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it just to get the funding. Because like I said, I mean, if the project takes 2 years and 2 years, if we did a 5-year resolution or another 3-year resolution with a 3% increase, maybe just to show that base rate going up, it's going to be null and void once we figure out exactly what we have to set our rate at and our additionals for debt service and O&M. I mean, that's going to be dictated to us to a certain extent. At least a minimum will be.
That's after the conclusion of the project, so
We know exactly what we spent with the interim, with KDHE interim funding. Then we go to USDA, say, all right, this is how much KDHE gave us. This is how much we need, how much grant money is available. Hopefully they can knock that a little bit. Hopefully we got the 600,000. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's kind of neat how this plays out. I mean, the money you've spent on things, you know, chip seal, service vehicles, mowers, leased equipment, stuff like that. It all kind of goes back into that deal. And if you can get $600,000 for another project for that, I mean, kind of money ahead when you spent some money. So it's kind of rewarding on that end to at least get something back for it. I just really hope that it's a competitive market. Like we said, we don't have any guarantees on CDBG, but I think we're in a lot better spot looking more into it after you guys' decision than we were last year. I think we were way more ahead of the game. This would help go into CDBG a little bit. Ultimately, I think this is really going to help with USDA showing, you know, what we're trying to do, getting to where we need to get and take more care of the residential customer to protect them from, you know, carrying the brunt of an industrial customer. So that might increase our grant funding with them on paper. I don't know how that process works, but.
so timing on this is, you know, do you recommend immediate resolution or even like, you know, maybe a delay of a month to kind of get the software
Yeah.
ironed out from changing stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need the resolution in place to take effect, say possibly 30 days after, so she can get with the detector, whoever, to get the software set up and have at least it dummied up so they had a go date. They can just flip a switch and get it on a certain billing. It needs to be done before September.
So maybe look at getting the resolution written up for
Well,
next
but
meeting.
you probably have to set on the structure first.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have to figure that out for to be put in the resolution, and then, yeah,
Maybe aim for
is there,
August.
how does that work? Is there a hearing on that? What does that
No,
process take?
all you gotta do is,
Just do it.
all you do is pass it.
Okay.
So you just need to, if somebody just needs to say that it's gonna be, probably what you need to do is just have like this, have your gradations. Is it first 1,000, first 5,
Mhm.
whatever. And the next 5, next 20, however you're gonna do it, just so you can map it out. And then you can do it. Do you have any out-of-city customers? Like
Water or
outside-
wastewater?
Wastewater.
We do not. Every residential pump, everything we have is in city limits. Everybody on the outside is on their own lateral system.
Because you can't charge a differential to out-of-city customers.
Yeah, I don't know if we had a timeline, if we had something maybe we could at least review and possibly act on in the first meeting in June. If there was a hiccup, the latest, the second meeting in June.
So you're talking the 10th and the 24th.
Yeah, to have an approval and then maybe through the end of July.
I'd say put it on the
Right.
agenda
Yeah.
June 10th, to everybody have their plan in place about how they want to structure it, and then you can probably film that, those
Yeah, I think
numbers.
so. And then maybe if
And
it
then the
does
resolution's done at the
get
next meeting.
done and approved in June, then we can get billing set up in July, maybe for the August billing. If we can get the resolution, we can get a timeline. Stephanie can talk to them how they have to set that up once we have an idea, whether it's gonna be a minimum or like one adder on that, and then up to a certain amount, or a minimum and 2. Of course, that's gonna have to be set up in the system to calculate that gallonage on things. And as long as we can put that in there, okay, it was approved in June, we're getting this, maybe the August billing, and that will be on the application for September. So then CDBG knows, okay, this has been approved, it's in the works, and this is our timeline type of thing. So if that works for you guys, that works for me, maybe. I think it works for everybody, I think. If I hear different, I'll let you know, definitely.
I do have a request.
Uh-huh.
When something like this comes up again and he gives you a piece of paper like this, could you just ask him to include actual towns in our county to compare to as well, besides everyone that's not in our county?
Do we have anybody our size though?
Sure.
Um,
Well, we're-
Yeah. And we can do
well,
that.
there's
too.
only 3 on here that's our size. The bottom 3.
And I don't know where he pulled this from. I really don't. This could have been off of something with KMU or something.
Just because I would like to see Alma, Paxco, Maple Hill, Alta Vista, Harveyville, the one.
I'll tell you what,
actually in
yeah,
our
we can
area.
get that. That's a good point. Let's get that. We'll get that this week, and we'll get it out to an email for everybody, because I know Alma just completed their project and they do that CDBG funding for that, see where they're at on that. And they do have a treatment plant too, so they're a little bit different than us with their actual plant. But yeah, we'll do that. That's a good idea, and we'll send it out in an email.
What's their population, you have any idea?
Who's?
Alma?
I don't know.
Alma has a lot of commercial though. I mean, are you comparing it?
That'd be good to see
I
them,
can,
how they-
yeah.
how they graduated.
Do we
that,
compare
maybe.
with them with the commercials? They have a lot of
That's true.
commercial business up there.
With Hormel and
Yeah, there's 2 different.
That one's probably on their own, because I think Hormel's even required, they have their own wastewater operators. They're required to pre-treat before they discharge.
Creamery, that runs on milk, so
Yeah.
they're running
Water.
cheese down the drain.
They don't need water.
Needs milk.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not anything to do with like blood and stuff like that, like say Alta Vista locker plant or anybody that has a locker plant. Blood's very, very hard for bacteria to break down. So there's different things that those
Take into
people probably
consideration.
have to pay for or do pre-treatment before it's released to the general collection system. So
Oh. I think I remember that.
that's
when they
good.
were
We'll
talking
get that. Definitely.
Good to
We'll
know.
try to get that and get it out so we can get that. Yeah, like I said, I was just kind of jumping from the hip on that, finding a common ground. That sounds good.
You done?
Done-ish. Yep, think so.
Sunny? He's done-ish, so Stephanie, it's your turn.
All right. So everyone has a financial statement, and then I also gave you guys what we've sold in total and lake permits. Each page, it'll tell you at the top, boat permits, and then fishing license and camping. If you have any questions on any of that, let me know. And then to add on to Mike's spiel with, sorry, going to CDBG again. This is something that we just went over today, Mike and I was talking with someone in the Kansas
Water Office, yes, they're
and they gave us their recommendations of how we should update this. So basically, I mean, if you guys want to look at it, you're more than welcome. But basically, if we could get a motion to approve that.
It's what we had last year, basically. They changed a little bit of wording, a they to a will or a will to a may or something. Yeah, it is basically, that's what we did to stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, our water conservation plan. Water watch, water emergency, this and that. None of that changed. They were concerned about, our lake levels, or if we were at 0.4 million gallons a day or 0.44 million gallons a day at our plant. They thought those might be a little high, which they are because our plant's design factor isn't even that high. But as far as lake levels and concern, I just said, I disagree. We're not concerned with those numbers right now. They probably have an algorithm in the water office they're picking all that off of. But the one that we did last year after the sanitary survey was the emergency water supply plan, which is like catastrophic event, tornado, earthquake, something, the water plant can't function for an extended amount of time. Where are we going to get water type of thing? That was the new one that we just created last year. This is the one that we've had.
Yeah.
It just needs to be updated.
Yeah, it was like 2007 was the last time it was updated, and a lot of the changes was like changing Kansas Water Office to Kansas Department of Ag, stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't
I move to
too
approve it.
extensive.
Perfect.
Could I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
All right, thank you. And then, so I had that. We had Kramer's design. We did that. You guys have a citizen complaint I received at the end of the day today. I have walked by that house. It's a little rough. The door's wide open on it. It's been raining in there, I'm sure. So this would be where Wire Boss, the first house that they lived in on Locust.
Yes.
That big.
Kenny Wire's old house?
Yes.
Those people have moved
Across from
on.
Big Miller.
Yep.
Yeah, they have moved away, and I don't even know if they own it. That was something, like I said, it came at the end of the day. I didn't have time to call the county and see who actually owns it. If
That
they
was on
don't,
my list to bring up.
if they don't, the guy who owns it's probably passed away. So
It's about there we left town. From my understanding, that something didn't get finalized and they were trying to figure out where he went so they could get the deed signed and they could never track him.
I don't know. Yeah. What you
Well,
guys
we have
wanna
to
do,
find out who the owner is and then,
He's doing it
like
right now.
send me a letter.
What's the address?
401.
401 Locust.
While
Might
he's
be
looking
good.
that up, I noticed that the blinds in the windows on the old Mikey house on the corner have been torn out and the for sale sign's down. Did somebody buy
I
that?
noticed too. I
There was a
don't know.
guy working on it this weekend, like
That's what
mowing
Joe
and
said,
doing
yeah.
stuff and had like a brush mower in there. I think so. Possible.
Joe didn't recognize who it was. I asked him if it was Gary and he said, no, it was somebody he didn't recognize.
I didn't recognize him either.
I had a couple people that asked me about that house, so hopefully one of them that asked me bought it because it was someone who's contractor and they wanted to fix it up. So
It was an older gentleman that was over there, but I mean, he was working.
I don't know if that's who it is, but
That'd be awesome if they did.
so there's that. We can wait for Todd. And then we received a letter today that our judge for municipal court is retiring.
Judge Carter?
Yep, Judge Carter. So,
Yeah, I talked to him on the
You
phone
guys
about
got letter?
this. Basically, yeah, he's slowing down. He's in this for as long as I've been here, probably longer. It's been at least 15 years, probably more. Staying
probably.
there? 25 years. He's up to 25 years.
It's been a long time.
So, and he's the magistrate judge, does the circuit through the counties, and he'll probably, I'm assuming he'll retire then soon there. So probably the issue being is that you'll need to get another municipal judge. As much as you guys, I mean, normal course is you have one court a month. You probably, he suggested this, and I think he's right, you need to think about increasing your rate of pay for those gentlemen. Right now, what is it?
Like $80 a month.
$80. Yeah, I think it's probably more, you're doubling that to find somebody.
The attractors.
Yeah,
That per hour, is that
That
general
is-
retainer? or what
well,
is
I think
that?
it's per hour, but he doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do anything but come to court, so,
Yeah. It's not, so it's not like he's doing
no.
anything other than one case. He lived by here, so I don't know if that may be a question
Right.
too. If you have somebody traveling a ways, since he lived over Lake Valencia, stop by, it'd be no more than an hour.
Mhm.
I suppose you could have some case times when it was more than, for trial, it's more than an hour or something
Yeah.
like that, but it's pretty rare.
Mhm.
So I would guess that you're talking more like 150 an hour, and still probably 1 hour every month.
So we're gonna pay them more than we pay the entire council to be here for a meeting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta have the right degree there, buddy.
Robes aren't
Gotta
cheap.
pay for it. Yeah, that road doesn't come cheap. That's right.
And I mean, it's just, are you gonna
It
get
is what it
somebody?
is.
Yeah, are you gonna get somebody for less than that? That's a good, it's market rate. So I don't know. I don't know who in this area would do it. So
No
I mean,
idea.
yeah. So, I mean, you probably, the last time, I think the last one I saw, I can probably get you some names from like Auburn and Cayugas Auburn and Cayugas Quinamo. Any one of those guys.
Who's that's Alma?
Oh gosh, I have to ask Tom. I don't know who does them.
Or Harveyville?
I don't think Harveyville
Harveyville
has
has
court.
municipal court.
I have to ask Tom who does Alma. I'm not sure, but that's the other thing is I think it's Judge Carter.
I wondered,
Yeah.
probably.
It is.
I was the last.
I know he's,
I was a city
Oh,
prosecutor
okay.
for Alma, but
So they don't send out letters or anything there for anything?
I don't
Mar-
know.
Marshall-
They might.
that's the legend of Marshall Mark right there. I was their city prosecutor for like 10 years. I had 3 cases. Somehow
It's
that-
all handled.
Somehow that- Yeah,
Way
somehow
it should be.
it was never a problem. So, I mean, but it was Judge Carter for sure.
And does that come out of general fund?
Mhm.
Of course it does.
What is our court costs currently, and are we aligned with market rates on those? Can we be aligned, or is that set by
It's like
somebody else?
45,
45 something.
Yeah, that's close. The ones I see run, I mean, the small town ones are about 62, 65, 50. So you're a little low. You could probably stand to bump those up, but you guys don't have a lot of tickets being written either. So it's not like you're making a lot of money on that either.
Well, he basically has to be here because somebody's doing something wrong and we're having court.
Yeah.
So why can't they just pay it? If they're doing something wrong, why don't they pay it? Or why don't we have
You mean court costs?
That's what court costs
They
is.
usually
Yes.
do.
Recovered,
the
it's just
entire,
Well, the fee, that's not the
recovered
fine.
Close to that.
That's just supposed to be. I mean, the theory is that that's your administrative cost. And that would be part of, that would go to the judge, not directly, but is your offset.
But we don't really have economies of scale working in our factor where other communities, they may run 10 people through there and who's collecting all those court costs for every one of them?
It's never a money making proposition, because if you get 10 tickets a month and he's here for more than an hour, or he's got to be ready to handle warrants and arrests, bonding people out and stuff that, I can't release somebody from a bond that the city, or the warrant that the city's issued. He's got to do it. And so it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. More work means more, but I think you guys could up your court costs. No issue there. That'll help.
Seems
I guess-
logical to me.
Well,
So-
look, I'll tell you what,
In our hiring process for a cop, we should probably keep that in mind, that that's gonna be another increase of money the more he.
Yeah, more tickets, frankly, he writes, and
The
is
more we're gonna have to pay out.
well, but yeah, and in all aspects of this. I don't think, I would love for it to be the case that these things pay for themselves, but they don't really. Unless you start doing some things that are, somewhat on the edge, which would mean like running DUIs, paraphernalia, stuff like that, and then basically running it like a diversion shop, which means you get people stopped, you get them in, I hit them with a diversion, they pay sweet bucks to keep it off their record. I mean, it's a
And
business
that's all
model.
running through, and then his billables go up. Sorry, Todd. I hate to
Actually-
interrupt you every damn
actually,
meeting, but-
No, but it's actually not. It's quite the opposite. I've had cities that just make it into form process.
Oh, yeah,
All they
so
do
you
is
have
get
to
it
run
done,
all
and I
that.
don't touch it. And they just say, "Okay, this is good," or "This is not good," and that's no more
To this
risk to me. But well, I mean, there's nothing magical about me talking to these folks. So, you guys have any ideas about somebody you think would do it, would want to do it?
I don't know, maybe I'll call Judge Carter and see what he has in mind, or if he knows anybody. We also need a little bit more information that we can bring to the council about costs and things like that, more practicality. We're having issues with the city anyway with lawlessness, and we need to get it under control and make it a safer community. People are on edge right now because of the different little things like stealing gas, little things like that is annoying as heck. And just the idea that people leave our community because Neighborhood Watch pretty well watched them leave town. They were getting watched enough that it made them nervous and they left. Now they're back because why not? See if they can
Did
get by
Eskridge
with some
Watch
more
stop?
stuff. No, Eskridge Watch is very active still.
Okay, back to our thing. 401 Locust Street, is that right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
The owner's name is Theodore Burnt.
So there's that guy.
BERNDT.
Most likely.
So basically, we don't have anybody that we can send a letter to.
He's dead?
Where does his address show? There?
Yeah, the mailing address.
Didn't he leave in a camper?
No, P.O. Box 165, Eskridge, but
Still listening.
yeah, book record.
And maybe we can call the county and see when the last time taxes were paid. Maybe they can put it on their tax deals. I don't know.
Get there eventually. Yeah, I mean, that man was not healthy when he left, so.
Are you on like a special website to find that out?
Well, not really a special one. Most of the counties have their GIS. This is called the Okra website.
Open records for Kansas appraisers. That's what we use for all that
There's not
stuff.
every county has it, but if you look up, Wabunsee County GIS.
How accurate is it?
Well, it's pretty accurate.
I mean, could you use that for that
There's a
property
lag
across
time.
from Gatewoods? That's who owns it? Is it
Well, I mean, what they do
because
is,
the courthouse couldn't
yeah,
differentiate, right?
Well,
Well,
if they
this
couldn't, then
information
this
is based
won't.
off of anything.
That's
in
why
your
I'm asking
county.
how accurate it is.
This
It-
goes
all
through
of
over-
this website's information comes from our county appraiser. Anything in our county comes from.
yeah,
So
there's
not
two,
all addresses.
depends on what you're trying to measure. If you're trying to measure who the owner is, or trying to determine who the owner is, they get pretty recent deed records. So, I mean, they're not getting it day of, but, probably a
Couple
month after.
months.
So what was the answer on that one up there then?
I think that one
Old Teddy,
lady.
What?
Oh, which one?
the
You're
far
talking
one.
about for
One by
Locust?
Becky and
The
Doug?
one by Becky, I thought she had said that the other lady's name was on it.
Linda Pope? Is that it?
So then how can the cops tell her to get off her property
Don't ask me.
and
Don't
force her to
know.
leave?
Linda Pope sounds like so familiar.
Well, she used to live there.
Do you have the town brought up on our?
It would be,
Uh,
what would be the
it's-
address of that?
Yeah, I need to.
I'll just point to it so you can click on it, bring up the map. Turn it on my phone.
Something's.
Need an 80-inch widescreen in here. We can just all turn around and go look at
That'd
it
be
during the
nice.
meeting.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay, so.
You should be able to have PowerPoint presentations behind Dolly for the camera to see.
There you go. Right up there.
Where are we at?
Everything that we have to be
Good.
on it.
Don't be sitting in front of it going like this.
Well, actually, I used to, yeah.
Click on stuff.
Well, when I was a kid, you know how you make shadows.
Yeah.
There's a look at that.
There you go. Satellite.
I made rabbits.
Yeah,
Of course, no, I think it's.
but you're gonna make it hard for me here.
2008 aerials. Those are the closest ones that are decent.
Yeah, those are true. Now it's gonna take forever to load this in.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll look, yeah.
We'll-
Here, I got it. Just like the 300 block or.
Third Avenue, that one a little bit. It's gonna be
Second.
that one and that one.
Those two?
Wait. That's Cedar, that's not Locust.
Is it? Well, I guess.
But this is what Becky was using when she was working for us, was this exact same
Yeah, that one. Those two parcels there.
website.
So who does it say?
Yeah, Linda F. Pope.
Linda Pope on the one with the house.
Why would we send it to somebody that's not
Well,
that?
how about
that's
this?
not who
This is
is
not-
sending the letters
The
to.
mailing address is care of David Mertz,
In care of, that's why it's confusing.
care of David Mertz, Twain Arbor Drive, Iowa, Kansas.
Now, if there was some weird sale that never got completed and he filed an affidavit of equitable interest on that property, would that show up on there?
Well, an affidavit of equitable interest probably wouldn't show up. They'd probably still stick with the legal title, although I don't know how mapping decides. Because it's part, that's what it is, it's a joint thing between register of deeds and county mapping. But the owner of the
What's the other
south lot is Gatewood.
Yeah.
Daniel R. and Annie Gatewood on that southern lot. And then Pope care of owns the house.
Which it all kind of looks like it's one deal.
Right, there used to be another house and they tore it down.
It's in the south lot there.
Mm.
There's still a butane tank buried in the yard.
Okay. Well, what's the question on this one? It doesn't matter if they're dead.
No, it was just when the public officer was sending stuff out, there was a big, we don't know what's going on, and it was kind of left in limbo. So that struck me there. You just looked that up, lickety split quick like that. I was just wondering why that couldn't have happened prior when that was.
I mean, she was
Coming up.
using the exact same, she was using GIS when she sent all her things.
Yeah, when
So I
she
think
first started, we
tried-
gave her this website to find
Mhm.
everybody's mailing address.
So I think she was sending it to both Linda Pope and Dave. I don't know.
But
That's confusing still too, why the cops would shoo her off her own property, yet do nothing about obstructing city business on another. That's just weird. But anyway, go ahead.
back to the complaint though, yeah,
Different
old
time.
Teddy's still the registered owner of that.
Well, what's the problem? Is it?
It's
It's
bad.
bad.
It's bad.
The-
It's
The
problem.
doors open.
Is the
It's
structure bad?
Yes, the foundation is. bad.
Well, I mean, that's what I was saying. It technically doesn't matter if they're deceased or not.
Is there anything hooked up in there? Is the gas hooked
No.
up? Is it? It's cut off. So
Have been for a long time.
So, but if there's a complaint, if you can still send the notice to the property itself. The notice, the ordinance doesn't say they have to receive it. It just says you have to send it. And the idea being, I mean, I know it sounds strange, but if you own a property, you're charged with, having the address and getting notices, and you guys can also publish it, which is good notice in the county. I think there might be a method to do that in the code too for the other
Well,
structure.
All right, and then we take that kind of action. Eventually, when nobody claims it or something, do we claim it then, or does it go to the county?
No. What happens is this is just the same process. They don't respond within time. Depending upon, there's different ways to do it under the code, but all of it ends up with the same kind of thing. You give them notice at a certain time to respond. If they don't, you guys issue a finding that it's a nuisance and therefore it is torn down. And at that point, you put it on the taxes and that's that. So it's normal process. The only other way is actually doing the eminent domain condemnation, and meaning that you go to county court, you say it's nuisance. You basically take possession of it after you tear it down, and then you have the lot. But same problem really, as you've got now to get your costs back. You got to get that
And
$1,000.
that one's not gonna be cheap, and I'm not sure that's feasible this year.
I've seen they give away lots in that neighborhood anyway.
In eminent domain though, do you have to pay some kind of market value for the
city
property or
basically gave
perceived?
away the-
Well, I mean, that's just it.
People
That's probably not
they
going to
acquired for benefit
any value
of the
to it.
town and then
be.
didn't-
Yeah, it's going to be a really nominal.
Yeah, but then you're writing the check to God knows who, because we
Yeah.
can't find
Well,
the
you
owner
write
of the
it, you-
property, so.
As soon as you write it, it'll stay in the court's registry, and that'll be that. And you'll own the property. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, it's a net negative, because either one of two things happens. Either you have to pay to tear it down at that point because you own it and you have a nuisance,
Mhm.
or you've done it already and now you just have a, place with tax liability still.
Surely the taxes haven't been paid on it in a few years. So it might be coming up.
Yeah, but that's got its own problems.
Still gotta get a bid.
I mean, the list was in the paper not that long ago. People went there and paid taxes.
Was it in the paper?
It's another one you can look up on the county website.
Yeah.
That reminds me real quick, what do you guys want to do with this stuff over here that's left?
Throw it away.
Where?
Can we get our trash man to haul it off? Put it up?
You're gonna have to pay for
Does
it.
Schultz still want metal?
No idea. I'm just wondering about the trash and stuff, and that did bring up, I thought I had that written down, but I did actually have a person that works for KDHE contact me about that. They did get an anonymous report on that deal over there and where the trash was going. I don't think they found anything. He didn't elaborate on that, but he did say a fair warning that anybody that the city hires as an agent of the city to do a project like that, if anything is not properly disposed of, the KDHE will come in and sue the city and issue fines too if they discover that anything goes to anything but a registered landfill for like housing material, stuff like that. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
so that's why I was asking, do you want to get a dumpster and we finish getting rid of it? Or what did you want to do? Because I think that was brought up at the last meeting after I left. So-
Why don't we get a dumpster and finish getting rid of it in the legal way and have a nice looking lot, and that hopefully somebody does something with someday. But unlike you,
guys, I
it's,
mean, you're looking at-
And that's the, I
How big of
mean,
a roll off do you think we need?
I'd say at least a 40, but you're looking at probably about $700 for the weight. I mean, that's about what's standard for a 40 yard.
I mean, it's charged to the property just like the other thing.
yeah, but we'll have to pay
You'll
them.
never get it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad that all kind of came around full circle because
I know
did
Brett had
you
asked
guys
me about
that
it
tonight,
before, and there was a couple of people that were interested in some of the things off there. And all I've been telling people is that we were going to make a decision to clean it up, and what's there is going to get thrown away if it's there. And so if we make a decision now to get a dumpster and finish cleaning it up, then people will know and it'll be gone. It needs to be gone. It's trashy. But it's a lesson learned as far as, when we put out any more bids, we'll know what to ask for and what to say and how to say it. So, having said all that, I need a motion.
How much stuff is, I mean, it's more than a couple truckloads?
I don't know for sure.
It's pretty junky. You can look out there.
See, what I was thinking was the guy could come down and get the junk. I was under the impression that we were calling him. I don't know who it was. I guess
Who's him?
Schultz?
Schultz.
Ah,
To get what he could that was metal or whatever for the lights for the park. And then I've walked around it and there's a lot of stuff that you can burn.
That is not legal on that property specifically that KDHE contacted me about. And I would really encourage you to not take any more liabilities on something.
Why is that not legal?
oh, well, it can't burn in
You
the
probably
city
have to
for
get
one
lead
thing. You're
tests
talking
and all
about
that
hauling it
crap.
away and hauling it into a ditch or something and then burning it.
People can't burn
Can't do
wood in
that.
their yard in the city
An
limits.
individual,
Or building materials.
not building materials.
Well, the
Yeah,
building materials, we contracted them to haul off, so they should have hauled off all of the building materials.
To a licensed landfill, should have, yes.
but
Do we have
That
proof
lot
that they
was
did
not clean when he left. That lot still had a bunch of stuff on it when he was deemed his job was done.
Because he bid tearing down the house and not cleaning the lot up. That was,
that's right. That's what he said.
If an individual does anything like you just mentioned, that's on the individual. Anything that has to do with the city of Eskridge or anything we're involved in, who do they go after? They go after anywhere they can get money. And
We're
if
gonna be
the
absolutely
Department
legal.
of Health and Environment wants to issue a fine or a reprimand, they're definitely gonna come right at us. That's
So
why I
let's-
brought that up. I just want you guys to be aware of that.
I try real hard not to break any laws because I feel any laws broken and me paying fines is a waste of my money. So I feel the same way for the city. Let's do it the right way.
Before we get a dumpster, I wanna call Darren and see if he wants it.
Sure.
Because if we can get somebody to come in and haul a lot of, okay, is there an issue with having somebody come in and haul that stuff out of there?
We're allowed to give it away to people.
We're not giving it away, we're removing it.
Yes.
We have the right to remove that stuff from the property. So do it.
So scrapyard qualifies as an authorized landfill. I mean,
For that
for
stuff, for
okay.
that stuff, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
This is going to a nonprofit, whatever.
I would agree with that.
Possibly, if he's still into that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to call Darren first.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to bring it up and just because that's what I needed
Well,
to
then let's
ask you
make
guys
a-
about what we want
Let's
to do.
move on this a little bit further then. Barring his decision as to whether or not he wants it or not, I don't wanna wait 2 more weeks. If he says, no, Tim, I'm not interested.
So you make a motion that you inquire of whomever, if he does not express an interest and agree to remove within how many days, that the city would get a dumpster and remove it itself.
Sounds like we're on the hook for the dumpster anyway, aren't we? I mean,
For a certain
And he's not
amount,
gonna-
20 yard, 40 yard. I mean, I always just have McPherson bring out a 40 yard and then we get charged for whatever weight we put in it, basically. It's fairly fair to us. So we've used the last handful of times.
How many days?
That's the movie.
Well, what do you think? A couple weeks?
well, yeah, we can just delay the dumpster for a couple of weeks and then reach out to Darren and say, hey. let's hear
And then
you
if
want it.
Darren says, no, I don't want it, then we can order the dumpster tomorrow.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, if you guys authorize that to be done, we can handle that. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I just wanna give Darren, I don't wanna push Darren like,
And this is weather
okay, you want it,
permitting.
come get it
too.
tomorrow.
I mean, weather permitting, getting
Yeah.
the loader in there and getting that all cleaned up and bringing some dirt back in and getting it smoothed out like it should have been. Just
Authorize it at a time to be determined by the utility superintendent. I don't know.
get a hold of Schultz.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
So move.
I so second.
All in favor?
Attaboy.
All right, Tree.
Opposed?
Opposed? Brett? What do you have in mind?
Yeah, I've said what I've had in mind multiple times. We're moving on. It's settled.
All right, let's see. Stephanie, did you have anything else?
No, that is it.
Okay. Well, okay, now we got this 150 Cedar Circle structure permit. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, back up. Review purchase request and work orders. None? Okay. 150 Cedar Circle structure permit.
Okay, so you guys have this in your packet. He has drawn there for you. It's been a while ago. You talked to him.
I did, yep, I remember that. This is,
So this is the lake,
Yeah,
and then this.
the dock is 20 by 24. Here. They want to install a boat lift and a 20 by 20 carport over the boat lift and a portion of the dock. This is one dock.
Yeah.
To one structure on the property. So they fall within the ability to do anything that they would like to do. The carport is not over 12 feet high. I think that is the relevant information. There is a cutout. He wants to extend that. Yeah, I think it's 18.3 now, if I'm remembering. He wants to extend it to an even 20 feet to accommodate a larger boat and install the boat lift. And then install the carport. Those are the actual changes to it. But it is one dock for one structure, so no issues on changing things.
Did we have a 3-foot limit on these things, or was it 4 foot?
The width of the walkway.
Yeah.
That's sort of
Wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or-
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but the 3.3 was,
anything over 4 is 7.
so let's do the new one. I move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? No, I did say flavor. didn't I?
Everybody's in flavor.
I did a Trumpism.
We're in flavor country.
Orange? Well, I mean, I can say that.
Move on.
What a look.
It just started.
Oh,
Geez, I'm trying to let you know.
Although that really isn't in proportion to the 20-foot wide, it's kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cutout didn't make sense to me. No, really? Yeah, it's confusing.
The extended 20 foot is from here to here. It was 18.
Oh, okay.
You're tying it.
Okay, so the cutout's
He's
10.
cutting 2
Okay.
feet farther into it.
Where do you see a walkway?
This
Right
part
there.
right here.
Bottom part.
Are they making it wider or longer?
They're making it through
Oh.
They're making the
That's
cutouts for the boat deeper so a larger boat can pull in.
I see.
Moving on. West Glen Hills Drive structure permit, Wild Olives.
yeah.
What are they doing?
So she wants to add a fence beyond her pergola so that she can have a spot for outdoor
Viewing?
eating.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does it have the square footage that she wants to go out?
That's a good question.
3-foot tall fence to enclose the
I
front
didn't talk to her.
entrance.
This
and
was
the
in the
Whole other
door.
room.
I was gonna say, is she swallowing up the parking there?
Yeah,
Or is that just a concrete?
well,
Isn't that where the concrete is? Yeah.
Where
I
the
think so.
handicap
I wouldn't-
parking
It
is?
looks
It's
like it
actually
goes
gonna be
with the
extended out
pergola.
from the concrete.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So the handicap parking won't even be on concrete?
Or you move the handicap parking to a different, maybe to the side of where it is now.
Basically what she wants to do is just extend it out. I forget how many feet that was on there. I wish she would have put that on there so I could explain it better. But it's where she has the pergola and she poured the new concrete, which is maybe like 3 feet off the foundation of the building, maybe. It's a very tight area to set tables and chairs, so she was extending it out double that amount which will be going in through some of the driveway, and yes, over top of that. Yes. But
I'm guessing they can do like a beer garden deal too with that.
they
fence, is that-
absolutely can park. People have parked up to the concrete thus far, and she's removed. It's you're talking a couple feet, so I mean they can essentially park in front of that fence if they want. So I don't see a problem with it.
Well, and frankly, they can,
But yes, it does extend out from the concrete just so that
She
it
wasn't.
doesn't get put in and
unfortunately,
somebody
yeah.
comes back and says.
She left it in my door, so I didn't talk
Yeah.
to her. So, and she called me today and asked if she'd be here, and I said, "Well, as long as the council doesn't have any questions, no."
Looks good to me.
Because she has put in a new retaining wall here, which is extended out several feet, and she wants to at least go to the end of that. So I'll move to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Mhm.
1, 2, 3.
Sure, why not?
Okay, sales tax? Where? Oh, election. Yeah, we were gonna talk about that. I was worried that, people weren't thinking about it, but Stephanie reminded me of the, advertisements that have been done for it, and several people have expressed interest in it, and so I just reminded them that June 3rd was coming up, and if they wanted to, they need to get in there to do it.
Who's up?
Hmm?
Who is up?
And Tammy.
And Tammy.
So not me.
No.
No,
You just got on.
got on.
You got another 2 years ago.
Nice try.
Nice try. Nice try.
President for life.
You're stuck.
He's president.
You probably will be. You have the most seniority.
Are you hanging up your hat or what?
Yeah, plan on it.
You're the brains behind this organization.
If you change your mind, you have till Monday
Yeah.
noon.
You need a ride, I'll drive you up to the courthouse.
I wonder if we took him in all gagged up and left his hand out to sign, would they say anything?
Can we just
Once a county.
Can we just write them in?
It is right in.
They will, okay.
I'd be more worried about repercussions from Hannah than anything.
I think
Yeah, I had to
might
talk
wanna-
her into letting him run 4 years ago. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, she was just kind of getting used to me.
Now it's sales
Now
tax.
sales tax.
I did have something for new business. With all the rain, of course, comes all the flooding. But Norman Scheid had me stop over at his house, and his ditch is significantly flooding because of the drains need blown out. And I mean, his whole front yard was pretty much
Yeah,
underwater.
it's bad.
Also, while I was over there, he pointed out to me his gas line that's leaking and was bubbling in the water when I was over there. So I just wanted
Look at
to have, and I did take Tim over there today because I wanted somebody besides myself to see it. And I mean, you can smell it.
I could smell it. Brett was putting his hand in there trying to feel it. I said, light your lighter. He said, no, thank you.
That would be like something that you should report.
He said that he has, and he's gotten no action from it.
Is it the valve?
I don't know.
Plug valve?
It's on the valve side, I think. You're the
Who do
gas
you
man,
report
not
it
me.
to?
So,
Anybody that reports a gas leak, I call Mike.
He says
Right
that this
away.
has been a 6-year issue of the gas leaking, and he's reported it several times. And they told him it was a natural occurrence of the
If
gas
it's a nuisance
It
leak
didn't-
on a greasable plug valve, that is very possible. And that amounts to grams of gas in a year's amount of time. That I will definitely check it
Yeah, especially if he's
spray
smelling
it
it.
with some
That stuff's
409,
nasty.
it'll bubble. That's how I check the
out.
tire.
We have.
But is there any way that we could where him and Annie live, and then on the other side where I don't know what that guy's name is. If it's in Hoffman's house, I mean those pipes are really clogged.
The drainage tubes?
Yeah, the drainage tubes,
Their driveway too.
Culverts.
the culverts. That's what I was searching for in my head. And
I'm
I was
the
not
same
finding
way.
it.
Yeah, culverts. The neighbor up above them had put in some, gravel and things like that, and it had, with the flooding and stuff, not flooding, just normal rainfall and stuff, it has come down and I think filled up the culverts, and so I don't know if that's an issue that we need to address. He added more sand and dirt and gravel there so that he could park his vehicles there. And so then subsequently it flows down whenever there's a gully washer or enough water to move it. And so that's why it's caused problems. I drove by it the other day because I'd heard Norman talking about water in his yard. I'd seen it. And
it's gone significantly down, thank God.
yeah, well, yeah. But I was talking to him about why they didn't have curbing there. And I think, Mike, you told me, oh no, it was Joe told me that they didn't have curbing there because the people that lived there at the time that they were putting curbing around there didn't want it put on their taxes. And so they have curbing past Carla's place, curbing past Brian's place, and then nothing where Lux's house is and where Norm's house is. So of course the water comes down and flows into it, into their driveway, into their yard.
Hell of a storm heading up this way. Yeah, what do you want to do with our driveway tubes? Well, they are driveway tubes. Do you want to try to clean them? Or how far do you want to go?
Can we put cinder blocks up there to divert the
Can
flow of
we?
water?
Divert it to
Can
where?
he do it? I mean, it
Divert
wouldn't
it to where?
to down past his yard,
Which
past his
way?
driveway,
We would already go there.
but it goes
If it
there and
could.
then into his yard. But if you couldn't put it over the driveway.
I don't follow that one, but yeah,
Well, there's a lot of times you say stuff I don't follow either.
that's fine.
But we're great minds. I'll
No, what do you want to do? You
Well,
want to try to jet the tube? You want to try to dig them out?
but won't they fill back up again? Because of what Brian did?
Every single tube in the world will eventually fill up again. I mean, that's just.
I mean, I don't think we want to get
There's a lot
into be
more
digging
going
up
on
all these
now.
coal, because that's just one place. I
And
mean,
those are driveways. Those
I mean,
aren't.
Teresa, the Howie's yard down there on the corner off of Beta Street, I mean, that one's plugged in. There's like a pond right there.
Julie
It's
does
going
have
over across the
same
thing
way.
and cutting a rut into my parents' yard. I mean, so that's another, you got Marcia Cook's thing where now that's all washing down in front of people's houses. If you drive up there, what street is Tracy
On
Corey
Fifth.
live on? All that debris that's washed down on that street. I mean, I don't want to be digging up. That's way too much.
That
Like,
that
can
was
you
a
blow
road.
that
though.
out?
That was a road. We did one alley tube on 6th Street. Those were roads and alley tubes. We have not done any driveway tubes. That's just why I'm asking.
Well, I know that they dug
What?
Are we
out,
responsible for driving tubes?
I don't believe
They-
so.
they dug out-
That was precedent since I've been here.
they dug it out already and it keeps happening because of what's being done, what was done up the street. So
Now-
how
now
far
the
are we
ditch
responsible?
We're not,
From
we're not responsible for it, we should be
Not
done.
the tube, right, now the ditch upstream or downstream, if there's something that could be done, but as we're heading, I believe downstream goes towards Annie's, right?
Yes.
Then we hit curb and gutter at some point there. So all of those drives are very low. I don't know. I really don't know.
Can we, the curb and guttering that weren't done at the time, can that be done when we do curb and guttering for Main Street?
Oh, Lord.
Lord, no.
When,
Well, that's why I
sure,
said
when we do
cinder
that, yeah,
blocks.
it can be done, absolutely.
It just
When we
seems
do
like-
that.
Well, all right, so they're digging out their culverts, but what about the person who caused the problem? I mean, when people add sand and dirt and gravel to the road, and then there's the ditch, our easement, right? Isn't that our easement?
No,
And
that's
you got
right
the road
away.
and-
Platted
right
road, it's a
away.
wide away, depending on how
And so they changed
wide
that
the road is.
and put a lot of stuff there that then flows down. So,
That doesn't necessarily
Is it-
mean that it's our, I mean, there's,
so it
You have
might
an
be neighbor
ordinance
on
against-
neighbor?
well, yeah, you have an ordinance about dumping in the streets technically, but if somebody's just putting like dirt in their front yard for landscaping or something?
It's gravel. They built a parking spot on the side of it. If that's what's actually causing it, I don't think that's what's causing everything. It could be over time, I guess. It's
Yeah,
washing
that's a
out.
civil problem then. I mean, that's standard.
So my question is, do we just try to clean out the tubes to try to solve a problem that the city is having?
City's not having a problem.
Well, flooding is-
With the
gonna-
ditch, I would say that would be our problem. With the tube itself, I don't know that that's our problem. But the ditch, I don't know, going downhill, what the grade would be or what we would have to do to get grade. Because where the curb and gutter starts, that's our ultimate. We can't go lower than that prior to getting there because that can't be lowered.
Does that water, after it goes around the corner and past Annie's place, is there some place for is there a culvert
No,
there?
there is no storm drain on that side of town. All the storm drains basically are Main Street that direction for underground drainage. Everything from that street goes around Bellevue, which turns into Maple, which hits Second Avenue and goes down to the low spot below the school and hits out of town.
When they came when the railroad tracks were there? You're too young to remember that.
Oh, there, yeah, I think there is a box drain there, but that just gets it from one side of Maple to the other if it worked. So. We'll try to look into it some more, see if we can find a simple solution that doesn't create any expense or hardship to the city.
But you could check the gas.
We'll definitely do that.
He's definitely gonna do that.
And I told Norm to come, but he didn't want to, so
Of course
I
not.
guess I'm his messenger.
No, he's his own messenger too. Every time he catches me half cocked, so yeah, not a problem. Next.
Sales tax.
Did you have that? The original one that we had?
No.
Oh,
You
okay.
can read through that. I
What was-
apologize.
That's okay.
Did we write up
The
that
actual
sales
ordinance of the
tax?
resolution? I remember
We
we
did.
talked about it. Did I do it?
I'm sorry.
Yes,
I
you
went
did.
for
Wrote
that.
it two
I
different ways.
Okay.
You actually did it twice for us. But anyway, with all the talk of the curbs and gutters and sidewalks and everything, and trying to figure out money and ways to pay for that, I would like to go for that sales tax again for streets, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and the park.
You weren't able to find my,
I wasn't on
Okay.
email.
but I'm sure I got it. I can just email it to you.
Okay.
What's time frame on
And I'm
submitting that
sorry,
for
Brett.
selection?
You can, yeah, you can still do it. I think it's like, yeah, it's like,
What did I messaged you because I called the county and I asked.
It was a month before.
It's gotta be in the
Yeah,
budget.
30
something
days.
tells me that it's in
30
August.
30 or 45 days before election.
45, I think.
45 days before
Yeah, the,
November.
we're just talking about it, and you do, the sales tax, there's a
Well,
mandatory.
yeah, if you're gonna do it, get it passed so we can get it in the budget too this year, so then it's spendable
Well.
for next year. Cause that would have to be in the budget to spend it.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Well, but they wouldn't,
Because
They
if
wouldn't
we would have
assess
passed it
it.
2 years ago, I mean, that would have accumulated
but they don't, it does, yeah, you're right. but it
some
wouldn't-
$1,000
They'll
already.
start assessing in 20.
Yeah, well,
In our
yeah,
20
there's a
budget.
trick to that, but
Oh.
it's like after because of when the election's certified, there's gotta be like 90 days from that, so it's like not even in the first quarter of 20, so.
Oh.
But that's all in that information, so I'll just send it to you. It's all you'd have to do is redate it, and if somebody has a problem with the percentage or whatever is in there, you can change whatever you want. It
Okay,
should all be ready.
just a minute. The reason that didn't pass before is because we were talking about how we were gonna afford a police department, and at the very, very beginning, I suggested we do property taxes, leave the sales tax to that, and do property taxes. What does that take to do that? You have to have that in the budget. What are you shaking your head for?
You understand you're gonna have an election for that. If you raise
Right.
it over 2%, you're gonna have an election and you're gonna lose the
It's
election.
not even 2%, is it? Is it?
Well, that's the
1%.
max.
Okay,
You
no,
can
the
raise
cap
it
was
up
slightly
2%.
under 2%.
Well, are you saying, what do you mean have an election? You mean include it in an election?
Well, what happens is that if you decide that you wanna raise your property taxes over and above.
$50 a year
Well,
It's
yeah, I don't
not
know what that
based on-
relates to.
is on, I know
It's
what
not
it's based
on
on.
Yeah, so the percentage is there's a cost of living, that's the new tax levy. So whatever that percentage is, based upon what the statute says, you cannot raise, you can raise up to that, that's it. If you go above that, then it has to be on the ballot.
Specifically on the ballot for property taxes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all for that. I would like it to be, people want law and they keep telling me they want law, so let it be on the ballot. We've got an election this year. Can we get it on the ballot for this election? In November?
Well, since it's a budgetary item, that might be the question, but
I think it was, cause just about the time I brought it up, wasn't in time to get it in the budget.
well, the idea being is that, yeah, if you were to pass it in an off year, you would have to pay for the election.
I know that. I don't
Yeah.
wanna do that.
Yeah, so you want to do this November's, but you can.
I don't wanna cut you off, Dolly, but I wanna move to go for the sales tax for what we had. For
Well, if
the,
you would've worked with me on this, we would've had it done by now. Yeah, back in the day.
I'm not
Anyway,
following you.
you're wanting to do
But
the
if the
sales
law
tax
enforcement
now?
would have been included in that sales tax, it would have gobbled up every last penny and we'd be sitting here trying to figure out how to give money to the park, have
Both
curbs.
motions were made and both motions died for lack of a second. That's how that went down.
Actually, no. It was 2 votes, and he abstained.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want
Well,
to
actually,
die for lack of a
originally it
second.
was voted down. Then we called Tammy, and it was a tie. He abstained. She voted it down.
No, I wasn't allowed to vote because it was.
It was a
you
tie.
told me.
You were allowed
It
to
was
vote.
2-2 and
Yeah,
not
it
a
wasn't
majority
Time
of the,
approved, yeah.
of the
It
city
was
council.
an ordinance.
And you made the decision to not.
No, it was an ordinance, wasn't
No,
it?
ties.
Well, you
was-
have a veto. of an
He said
ordinance.
he said it didn't pass because it wasn't majority.
It doesn't matter what happened last time.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And just,
I would second Brett's motion.
yeah, this is just to be clear, all I'm doing, I'm not gonna charge you for it, I'm just gonna send Stephanie the form. She's gonna give it and change.
So what are you making a motion for? To do the resolution for?
To have the sales tax put on the ballot for curbs and gutters, the park, and streets.
As it was
I think it's a good
What-
idea.
As it
What
was
rate?
written before.
Is it 1%?
It was 1%, I
1%.
think.
I think
I
it's-
would be for raising it to 1.5%, but if you want to keep it at 1%, that's totally fine with me as well.
So however it was
Because
written.
something's better than nothing.
I mean,
Do you know
it
what
was
the
written
sales
on
tax
the-
rate
Well,
is?
did I write it?
in
I wrote
Alma?
it 2 ways.
It
because-
says
You
no.
did.
We're the only city in.
You wrote it
Monmouth
so
County
that
does not
either
have an additional
or
sales
or
tax of some
both
kind.
could be
Well,
approved.
what's, yeah,
Now, we won't generate $100 and some thousand like Alma does, or anything like that. They have Dollar General and.
But
all
my
that,
question is, these other towns, obviously the other towns have a sales tax. I don't think that we should shortchange ourselves if we're gonna keep up with the Joneses, so to speak.
Well, some
What's
of
their
them,
tax rate?
some of them are 0.5%. I'd say most of them are in the 1%, and I think maybe there's one town, maybe it was Alma that was 1.5%. I can't remember, but it was like that, between 0.5 to 1.5.
I think 1% is a doable.
I think we start out with 1%.
I think it's a doable thing.
And the 1% that'll go for 10 years, right? So
Well, that's
we
what
won't be
I
able
was
to
trying to
increase
get
it
to.
for 10 years.
was to try to, this is for a specific purpose.
Hmm.
Okay, so that is sunset for 10 years. And you want 1%?
Or we could split the difference to 1.25.
Or could we do 1% for the first 5 years
You're gonna
and
try and change my
1.25%
think you can
the
do
next 5?
I think it's gotta be constant. It's gonna be the same rate.
I mean, I'm for the 1% just so that we have something generating.
Where's the
It's odd.
sign?
It's probably getting pretty close.
Somebody watching on YouTube voicing their displeasure.
Please just do 1% because otherwise Tim's gonna have to come and do the
Well,
register.
There'd be I'd say this would be a
I'm fine
comparable
with it though. I mean,
to getting the actual resolution done before you guys do it.
Yeah, I think you probably have the resolution to make the motion on.
That's usually the recommended version. Because I mean, on this, you guys ought to know your vote now. I mean, but.
Well, then, the next meeting is on the 10th, and so what you're asking for is how to divide up that 1%?
No, well, all you need to know is you could, you could take the form.
Mhm.
The things that are common is we know that it's gonna be special use. It's gonna be for streets, curbs, gutters, sidewalks.
Park.
Park. So we'll make that list. And then all you gotta do is leave blank the percentage. Or put it at 1%. If you guys have a problem with 1%, you wanna make it 1.25? Mark it through and do 1.25.
That's what goes on the ballot, though, so depending on what you asked for.
I have a question. The entrances to Eskridge over here and over here with the stone that's gonna be needing fixed at some point, is that included in the parks? Will that be included in the parks?
That was special property, right?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, as far as you guys
They were-
bought the property, right?
it was our property and they put
Montgomery did one and somebody else did another.
Lawrence.
Can't remember which one it was. But I'm just
But I mean,
looking as far as like
individuals
maintenance
did
of
it.
that sign, it's kind of a little sketchy.
It's not, but it's
getting into-
not in right of way. It's not in road right of way,
No, it's off.
right? It's personal, it's on city's property or with an easement or something, right?
Right.
Florence worked on
Which
that
one,
one.
that area is now kind of a little park, because it's gonna have a kiosk and,
You know, the public can go onto it.
absolutely, yes, they can.
I'm going into the legal dictum that it's better to apologize and ask permission.
You're the second person I've got that says that.
Don't say that.
Yeah, he was the first one. I've been holding it over his head for 5 years.
Okay, so that sounds like a plan, right? You guys don't need to do anything tonight. I'll get you that.
Okay.
You make the changes. And you're good to go. Next time.
Did we vote?
You don't need to vote.
We don't need to yet.
Not yet.
We'll get you the black and white version resolution.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That looks like the bottom.
Okay, Dolly, finish what you were talking about in the, I interrupted you, I
The
said.
homeowner's tax, property tax.
Oh, I was talking about property tax and how we could do that and people could vote on it. I like the idea of having people vote that way. It has a more solid deal. That's not what I was gonna talk about tonight, though. You asked me to do, to get quotes on curbs and guttering. The only one that, was interested was, Coldy at the lake and they, took it under advisement. They asked me several questions and I gave them the best answers I could. And, JD Hill knows someone in Auburn that might be interested. So basically I'm waiting for Coldy to didn't call or drop any quotes to you. Okay. So I did that. They asked me why we didn't put anything in the paper. And I said, it's Eskridge City Council. What do you expect? Flooding and norms. Oh, I had that down there.
We still on?
Yeah, we are.
What just happened?
Well, I was just, it's the fact that you guys asked me to do curbing and guttering without putting an advertiser in there asking for bids. They thought that was
I
odd.
don't believe we asked you to. I believe you asked if you could, and we said, sure, go ahead, knock yourself out.
For an idea.
But, we're just Eskridge City Council, so what do I know?
I'll go ahead and look at that. It was recorded.
We didn't bring it up.
We're under a severe thunderstorm.
All right.
I had one more, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you again.
I did.
I said, do you need to go?
We're done
No,
with
I would
Todd.
rather-
I was gonna ask you if you guys wanted to do anything about that pit bull ordinance, but
What'd you say?
let's do something else some other time and go home.
The one thing that I had is Bruner's continuing property. Has everybody drove by there? What is
Yeah,
everybody's thoughts
it
on
needs to
that?
be worked on.
Okay.
I think it needs a severe haircut.
He needs to sell.
And by the way, I talked to JD. He thinks that the shelter houses will not be done by the 4th because of all the rain and stuff. And I said, can you at least try to get the 2 big ones? And he said, we'll see.
Bye.
Drive safe.
Who's responsible for the mausoleum at Seneca? Are we responsible?
That's a cemetery board.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
just
is.
didn't need, when I was by there, it was pretty bad. You saw them, it's in pretty bad shape.
It's I think the problem is that a lot of people tend to try to paint stone, which doesn't allow it to breathe, and then in our freezing and thawing weather, explodes it all out.
Very good, that's right.
Move to adjourn.
It's too bad we don't
favor?
have.
Oh, wait a
UK
minute,
weather
move.
'cause their stone lasts thousands
Was that
of years
second?
if they don't
Is
freeze.
that second?
Yes,
We have a motion to adjourn?
let's go home.
Oh my gosh.
Is it supposed to be a fast?
Oh, it's just a decent cell coming straight up towards us.
Yeah, it was down in Wichita when
If they issued us.
When I left.
$1,